We are recording. So, hi there, YouTube. And today we're going to have a quick little team review / discussion about the team that I brought to the Whooper Wednesdays Beanie Brawl Rumble number 3, I think? It was a Swiss best of 3 tournament that I joined. It at some best of 3 practice leading up to the next regionals I'm going to go to. And so after playing in that, I have a sort of review of the team I've been using. I'm going to talk about what went very right with it, what went very wrong with it, as well as what we're going to kind of change for the future and some ideas that maybe you guys can leave for me or use on your own teams. And I figured it'd be funny if what's playing in our little music in the bottom is Primeape and Delibird, considering some of the mons that I have on this team in particular. But so regardless, let's kind of get into it. So the main idea for this team is Iron Bundle plus Abomasnow, with Iron Bundle setting up Aurora Veil, which will help with either your Belly Drum Cetacean to sweep, or your Bulk Up Annihilate to sweep. Bulk Up Annihilate is obviously very good behind Veil, and with Veil, Belly Drum, and Snow, Cetacean is an incredibly dangerous sweeper. This is an incredibly combo if you get it pulled off. Like, incredibly powerful, hard to beat. You have priority for when the snow ends, slash if they have Tailwind or whatnot, and you have a really strong Ice Spin or an Earthquake. And then supporting those two in the back, we have Mousehold and Gyarados. Gyarados has Intimidate, plus is just a generally really strong Pokemon with Life Orb, Adamant. We're running Terraflying Terrablast, specifically because this Gyarados was added to help us out with our Volcarona weakness that the previous version of this team with Meowscarada kind of had. And then this is a purely support Mousehold with Friend Guard, Follow Me, mostly to serve as support for either Cetacean or Annihilate. And then we also have the Beat Up Rage Fist combo as sort of a second mode to use if the Aurora Veil mode isn't super viable. And yeah, that's the general idea of the team. I don't think the main unique part about it, I think, is the Iron Bundle Abomasnow. Most of the Iron Bundles I've seen have been purely offensive, but I personally don't want to miss a godforsaken Hydro Pump, so I don't run it. Yeah, so we have Aurora Veil, Taunt, Freeze Dry, and Chilling Water on Iron Bundle. Chilling Water is a really good support move. It's really helpful against stuff like Iron Hands, and is just if you're in a situation where you have Bundle next to one of your setup sweepers, then it has a way to support them with damage, even outside of just setting up the Aurora Veil, and that's it. Abomasnow is choice spec because since its main goal is to sit on the field and die, so that way one of the setup sweepers can come in, I wanted it to have as big an impact on the field as it could while it was there, to kind of force the opponent into a situation where if you get rid of me, then I get my setup sweeper in relatively free, and if you don't, I'm going to spam the ever-living daylights of a choice spec Modest Blizzard at you, and you will not enjoy it. One thing to note about this is that with the Veil and Snow and Data Drain, this Abomasnow actually can be very bulky. There are certain teams where it just kind of wins all on its own, clicking Blizzard and Data Drain. And we've got Aurora Veil as kind of a last-ditch effort. Cetacean and Annihilate have really already explained pretty much all there is about them. We're running Terra Poison as a defensive Terra type for Cetacean. And Annihilate's got a pretty standard Terra Water. And then Mousehold has Terra Dose to block Fake Out. So all pretty standard Terra types across the board. The only ones I spent any actual value shards on were Mousehold and Cetacean, because I got lucky with this Annihilate ages ago, and that's all I've been using since. And yeah, so that's kind of the basic idea of the team. As for how my win record went, I went 4-3, which was really 3-3 because my first win was against the No Call No Show, which I'm a little mixed on because on the one hand, I entered the tour so I could play, so not getting to play is a little disappointing for one of my rounds. But he also brought a Chansey. So I'm really glad I didn't have to play against that. Yeah, so here's the team, and there are a couple of fundamental issues with it, specifically regarding Satishin, which I will talk about as we start getting into some of the team's matchups. So Fluttermane is a Pokemon that we obviously have to be very prepared for. It's very strong, it's very fast with booster energy, and it's very dangerous. In particular with my Aurora Veil lead, I can survive a Moonblast from a non-Life Orb or non-Terra Fluttermane, but I lose, like Iron Bundle gets KO'd if it does have any sort of damage boosting. There is one way around this that I didn't think of until like after the game where it came up though, is that if you switch in your mouse hold as they go for their Terra Moonblast, then you live it and can set up your Aurora Veil, which I think is very funny. Thanks to the friend guard. It's just one of those like, kind of like layers of the team that I realized as I was playing with it. So other than that, Fluttermane is like still dangerous, but it's not like the worst thing in the world. Iron Hands is a mon that we, on paper, it looks like we have an awful matchup against, but it's actually not that bad. Iron Hands is a mon that lives or dies on its favorable trades because it's just so bulky that it can favorably trade with a lot of Pokemon, and it's got like the fake out support and whatnot. But between Aurora Veil, Chilling Water, Intimidate, Friend Guard, you reach a lot of scenarios that can turn our Pokemon, specifically our setup sweepers, into a situation where Iron Hands can actually turn into setup opportunity against them. Like, if we Terra Poison and have, like, some Chilling Water or Aurora Veil up, then Iron Hands does nothing to Satishin. Annihilate just turns it into setup fodder if it's got any sort of damage reduction, whether it be Friend Guard, Veil, Chilling Water. And it honestly, like, Iron Hands is not that big of a threat for this team, besides, like, the Gyarados. So, like, it's still dangerous, don't get me wrong, but it's a mon that I honestly didn't have near as many problems with as I expected. The real blowout, though, came from these two. Indeedee Armarouge is something I was entirely unprepared for. There was nothing I could do for my Indeedee Armarouge matchup, and it was unfortunate. I got hard swept twice in a row, because there just wasn't really much I could do for it. The reason, like, you might have saw a crunch there on the Gyarados, the reason that was there was so I could threaten a one-shot an Indeedee, but if it's got, like, any amount of physical bulk investment, it has a good chance to live, and if it's max bulk, it just always lives a crunch, or a Terra Blast, Terra Fly. So, like, I really just had no tool for it, so they could just Helping Hand Expanding Force and just deal with anything I did. Or they could just follow me to keep their Armarouge alive as it just batters me with Expanding Forces. And there just wasn't anything I could do against it. Because without the Belly Drum, leading Abomasnow Satishin isn't enough to overwhelm it. It's too much for Annihilate to set up in the face of, even if I did up like my Veil first and then bring in Mousehold Annihilate. It was just a bad matchup that I couldn't handle. So it's like that, so like drastic changes would be required to take on a DV Armarouge. Which I think I could make, don't get me wrong. But that was definitely like the worst matchup for me. And then one more mon I want to mention that is going to kind of bring up why I think that Satishin specifically is the mon I'm going to drop, is going to be what happened in some of my Amoonguss games. So Sporomundus is super scary. That's another reason I added Gyarados, was for the Amoonguss matchup. But so what happened was there was one game where it was Satishin Mousehold. Satishin had already slept for two turns. and Mousehold had just protected on the last turn. And they had an Immune Disc plus, I think it was a Hatterini. And so in order to win that game, because Letitia already had its belly drum up, all I had to do to win that game was to either get a 2-turn sleep or did a double protect on Mousehold. If I had gotten either of those, I would have won. I got neither and lost the game and then lost the set. But that was kind of the teachable moment for me about why this Letitia combo, as strong as it potentially was, ultimately isn't worth going for. Because it just takes too long and leaves you open to too much variance. This combo, Aurora Veil plus Letitian belly drum, in order to get going, takes anywhere from 2 to 5 turns, depending on what your opponent does. Because hard switching in Letitian is really risky, and if they just like say don't KO your bundle and Abomasnow fast enough, or you try to hard switch it in on the wrong turn, your Letitian is going to find itself overwhelmed and unable to set up. Especially since it needs all 3 of its attacks and can't afford to run Protect, you lose a lot of your outplay potential with Letitian, and you're really beholden on this combo. And having to take so many turns leaves you up to things like bad sleep rolls, bad para rolls, getting crits, having your bundle and Abomasnow live moves that you were really hoping they'd die so you could get Letitian and Mousehold in safely. It's really an unfortunate situation, and it leaves yourself open to a lot of variance. Most of the games I lost with Letitian were either due to bad luck or bad play on my part, but the reason I was open to so much bad luck or bad play was because the combo itself took too long and thus lent itself to a lot of variance. And that was kind of like the fatal flaw of it, was that variance coming from the combo taking too long. So for future versions of this team, we'll definitely be swapping out Letitian. And because of like the fundamental flaws, I don't feel comfortable putting up like a rental code for this team yet. But I may in the future if I stick with this team. I have some other teams I'm working on, like this Rain plus Mousehold, like focusing on using Soap to like boost Mousehold up. But that's kind of like a secondary thing. This is the one I'm mainly focused on right now. And as a little side note, we're going to talk about some of the mons I'm thinking of swapping into that Letitian slot. Roaring Moon is a Pokemon with a lot of options. We have Loaded Dice Scale Shot, which is terrifying. Give us a taste of that, give us a taste of that, high power single target dragon damage that, Baxcalibur has gotten us kind of used to. Or Terraflying Acrobatics. If I went Terraflying Acrobatics with Booster Energy, I'd probably swap Gyarados out for something else too. But, you know, that's something that, like, is just, you know, worth thinking about. Hydreigon is my second option to kind of help with the NDD Armarouge matchup. With some sort of defensive Terra type, either Steel or Fire, probably Fire. And if I run it, it would be the Focus Energy Scope Lens set. Specifically because that set is really good at... it gives us like an extra setup to kind of replace the Belly Drum Letitian. And it also opens us up to leave our Life Orb on something else like the Gyarados. So like, this is definitely kind of like my like second like thought process after Roaring Moon. And then Hariyama with a Belly Drum Terra Steel Bullet Punch is, I think, really fun. It gives us a priority option. It gives us another Trick Room option. Is kind of weak to Indeedee Armarouge. It doesn't really help that matchup, which is why it's not at the top of the list. But it is like another fun option. I think especially with so much Iron Hands running around, having a Hariyama too, I think is like funny. But that's kind of like the last option. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. I just kind of wanted to do this team review to kind of help sort through my own thoughts about it, as well as to maybe get some input from anyone who wants to leave it, as well as to get the word out there about Support Iron Bundle. I think don't miss your hydro pumps. Help your other mons pump their hydros instead. There's my advice for you. But yeah, so I want to thank you all very much for watching. Be sure to do your liking and subscribing, and definitely leave comments below about what you think about the team, what ideas you would have for it, as well as just, general thoughts about the format. I'm really enjoying Series 2 so far. I think the Paradox Mons are all fun, and I think that the format is, it's a good time. It's a good time. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching, and bye there, YouTube.